I'm Nick. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, Jacqui and I are going to speak about being solo female travelers. We're now both in our 30s and we still travel solo. I don't know if it's ever going to finish, but it is very, very achievable, even though it can be quite daunting. So, and it's not always good.
Pretty.
But it's definitely worth
It's an adventure.
Yeah. Enjoy the video.
It's not all rainbows and lollipops when you are traveling. There was somebody on the ground unconscious. They were bleeding from the head. They were getting pulled out from the police from the fence. We were going straight for a tsunami or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, oh well, let's go. There's beds on here. It's all good.
But the beds were flooded.
Yeah. This is my friend Jacqui.
Hello.
She's from the Gold Coast in Australia, and I'm from New Zealand. We're both right now in Perth in Australia. We've known each other since we were 18, 19. We met travelling and we've travelled to quite a few countries together. Jacqui's actually about to go to Vietnam tomorrow.
If my visa approves. So.
Yes, but also maybe one hot tip, get your visa approved.
Get your visa in advance, that helps for entering countries.
Yeah, okay, so what are you going to do if your visa doesn't come?
My visa doesn't come before tomorrow, before my flight, then I'll probably just book a cheap flight to a country I can get into. That's maybe halfway to Vietnam. And then when my visa for Vietnam approves, then I can book a flight from, just say if I'm in Singapore or Malaysia or Thailand or wherever, I can book a flight from there over to Vietnam.
But we're all
cool,
it'll all pan out as my sister says.
It should be right.
It'll be right. Yeah, you should be right, mate.
That'd be sweet.
If you have anything that you want to know about solo travel or just travel in general, hit us up in the comments and let's just get straight into it. What is your worst travel story? Like the worst thing that's happened to you traveling?
Oh, I'm trying to think because there has been a few. It's not all rainbows and lollipops when you are traveling. You obviously have your bad days. When I was in South America and we were traveling from Cusco, I think it was, over to we wanted to go to a place called Copacabana or something. It's on the border of Peru and Bolivia, and the bus was meant to be 16 hours long, and it was the most coldest bus trip I've ever been on. And then for some reason, the bus just didn't stop at our stop. And then we ended up on the border somewhere else. And my mates that I was with, they couldn't get across because they had overstayed their visa in Peru. So then they had to sort that out. And anyway, then we had to get a bus for another 12 hours to La Paz. And we didn't even fucking want to go to La Paz at that stage anyway. But we're on this bus, and then the next thing the bus breaks down, and it was just a shit show. We ended up getting into La Paz. It was 11:30 at night time, so then we had to find somewhere to stay. Everywhere was full. We hadn't eaten all day. I was eating these little peanuts, savouring them the whole time. Oh, that was shocking. But eventually we got a bed and we were safe, so it was fine. So yeah, things like that happen all the time.
Yeah.
I also have another story like that from Thailand.
Yeah, go tell it.
Yeah. When it's just you got to catch 2 ferries and 2 buses to get to your destination, and you rock up to get the bus, and then we fell asleep on the bus, and the next thing we woke up to these Indian music. It was just all Indians on the bus. I was like, have we traveled to India? I was quite concerned. That's what the fuck? And it was just playing the loudest Indian music. And turns out we're on a bus to north somewhere in Thailand when we need to go to Phuket, which is south. Oh my god. Anyway, it was horrible. So then we were we tried to get back, and then we had to catch this tuk-tuk with this ex, she was a heroin user, and she's telling us about how she used to shoot up and shit me in the center. What is going on here?
Was it during the day or at night?
The ferry, it ended up taking us 24 hours to get there, because the ferry linked in with the bus, but apparently we got on the wrong bus. And ended up in the middle, and then the police had to try and get us back to Phuket.
The police had to?
Yeah,
You're just asking them, like, where are we?
Well, I don't know. It was all a shit show because I don't know. Things like that happen to me all the time.
Oh, man. What is your favourite place and why? Where is your favourite place?
Such a hard question. People ask me this all the time.
Same. It's hard to choose just one, right?
It's hard because everywhere is different, and I think you have different experiences in different. Your experiences depend on who you're with, what the weather's like, really. I don't know. So I would say probably for me, Portugal and Greece. They hold a special part in my heart because
you spent a lot of time in Portugal.
Yeah, and Greece, but I was like working over there as well.
Yeah.
So I think I formed really close relationships, and I had some amazing memories from there.
Yeah. And you lost a lot of memories too.
And definitely, I lost a lot of brain cells there, so that could be why
You only remember the good stuff.
Yeah. But Colombia is definitely one that stands out. I was only there for I think 6 or 8 weeks, and I just remembered I loved it, and I can't wait to go back to explore more.
Same. That's in the itinerary next year.
Yeah. But yeah, different places for different things. India I loved, but then I also fucking hated at times because it's just like sometimes I just wanted to cry because it's so painful there, but it's so beautiful.
Painful in what way?
Oh, just in like sometimes the places that you go to, people just hassle you the whole time, and you just get over saying I don't want a tuk-tuk.
Yeah, which is like so different to our culture here in New Zealand, like the States, and you know,
definitely, yeah,
it's different. I struggle with that too. But like, actually, as I've gotten older, it's a lot easier, and you get more used to it. But it is sometimes it's just so in your face, and you're trying to be polite, and you know, and they know that you're a Westerner, so they're like, it's even
and they
more
just hound you, and
yeah.
like I can take it usually, like, but sometimes I'm just like, fuck off, get out of my face.
Yeah, and
but they don't understand the term. They're like, what? Why are you crying, Missy? Because you were in my face. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, especially like you're having a bad day or you're lost, like it's hot, you're hungry.
Yeah.
You don't know where you are, you don't know anybody. And then people are like, yeah, hello, what's going on? You're like, okay, I've had enough.
Yeah, I can't do this right now.
Yeah. Is there any place that you wouldn't go back to?
Yes. I'm not really that hung up on like the big Western Europe places, so like France, I probably nowhere really intrigues me there. Italy, not so much. It's not that high on my list. Definitely go back to Eastern Europe. Like loved Bulgaria, loved Romania from what I've seen of it. Those places, I think, I liked a lot better than the Western ones, I suppose. Yeah. Food wise, Philippines was shit.
Oh yeah, it was.
That was the shittest food ever. Yeah. But then the place is beautiful, so. Yeah. Yeah.
And you tried that balut, right? That egg.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, you can Google it, but balut is like this egg that they have in the Philippines. And this isn't like, no offense to anyone from the Philippines. Like we tried it. Yeah. It's just something that isn't really part of my daily
it's not really something that you have on a daily in
Yeah. So it's an egg, right? Which takes 20 days to get to full gestation of a chicken. So in the Philippines, there's this egg that is cooked at 16 days. So the chicken is inside,
it's like
has like almost
chicken.
Feathers, and it's got like a beak and feet.
Yeah.
And they'll cook it, and then you kind of open it and you drink the juice that comes out of it.
Drink the juice and then eat the thing.
And then you put like salt on it and you like eat the egg, like a boiled egg, like a hard-boiled egg, but it's like black because it's got a chicken in it. It's
but it's
not something I'll be trying again.
Yeah,
and I really struggle, but Jacqui, I mean, she's a little tiny brave girl, man. Woman.
I try and eat everything like that's different. I couldn't even tell you half the stuff that I've eaten.
I'll try it, but I really
So
is there any food that you wouldn't eat, like out of like for value?
The one thing that I didn't want to eat when I was in Vietnam last time actually was dog, because in the northern parts of Vietnam it's very, very common. They eat a lot of dogs, so I think they like they roast it almost as like a pig on a roast, like on a thing, but it's a dog, And
Did you see it? Did you like see it
yeah,
in the
so
street?
actually one time I was riding my bike like around this small little village, and I seen like it was like a dog on this spit thing, and I was like, oh, that must be how they eat it. And then but half the time you go to the restaurants, you don't even know what you're eating, so I probably did eat it. Because you probably think it's like beef or something, and it's dog. But oh well.
What are the main things you look for when you're booking a hostel? Or you don't. Okay, so we don't really stay in hotels because as a solo traveler, it's very isolating. So you got your own room and everything, but you're also with people who are there for business or other reasons. So I find if you travel, even if you're, I mean, from 18 to, I was overseas in Mexico last year, so to 31, I still stay in hostels, and it's not this whole environment of just like young kids or whatever. So there is more travelers like us who are still traveling, and a lot more people who will go and stay at a hostel. And it's not all party hostels. I mean, you can look at the reviews and see what kind of hostel it is and stay away from the party ones if that's not what you want to do. But like to have people around all the time if that's what you're looking for. But it's easy to make friends. You're going to meet people who are doing the same sort of thing as you. So
they're
if you're
doing the same kind of route, so you can get advice, because for me the way that I travel is word of mouth, really. That's the best way.
Definitely
I don't usually research anything beforehand. I usually just rock up into a place and I'm like, what is there to do here? And then you do get that from other people, and then other people can give you suggestions on where to stay and what to do and what companies what tours they did and stuff. It's definitely the best way. So definitely when I'm like booking a hostel, I always try and look for what's the most social, well, one of the that has a lot of people staying there.
Yeah, and like recent reviews. So if you see using also Hostel World, booking.com, so you can compare the prices, but then also when you're booking, or go to the actual like website of the hostel, because they might have a deal, or if you're there you can just call them. They might want to beat the prices because obviously they have to pay commission to these other websites. If you can just call them, or if
sometimes you can just, if you know that there's beds available, you can just rock up and like just say what's your cheapest rate.
And so either way you can work on to your budget. But yeah, so you're going to look at the ones that are good location, but they have good reviews.
Yeah, and recent reviews, not ones that are 2 months ago. Cause that's not going to help you. No one's going to be staying there now. But so definitely something that's like social. But I not necessarily want to go for a party hostel.
Too old.
Oh,
old girl.
Just I come ratchet on a bloody hangover. That's why. I can't do anything. So I mean, it is
back
good.
In the day, though,
it is good
parties.
if you're in a little town and there's not much to do there but party. Then maybe stay at the party hostel for a night or two, and then you can always just change to a quieter one. But otherwise, something with it, like it's always good to have like a bar, so then you can, if you do feel like a drink, go down, and it's a good way to meet people.
How many countries have you been to?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Okay, well, it must be more than me.
It's like 50 something.
Yeah, because I'm 51, so you must.
It's probably around there.
I think you're a bit more because you did more in Europe and South America so far.
Yeah, okay then.
But I'm gonna overtake you this year.
For sure.
Hey, what's your best memory with me out of those 14 years that we've been on trips?
There is so many memories.
I'm gonna have to. Okay, if this is a bad one, I'm sorry, but it's getting censored out. There's a 50-50 chance that you're not gonna hear what she says.
Oh God. Well, me and Nicola pretty much met at Oktoberfest, so that was pretty much a write-off weekend.
At 18.
Right? And then we did Benecaseum together, which is another big festival over in Europe, and we also did Running the Bulls. Running the Bulls was probably one of the most crazy things that we've done.
So if you don't know, it's called Sanfermin, the festival.
Great festival.
And it's like
so much fun.
Oh, actually it's like a week, isn't it?
No, it goes for 10 days.
10 days.
I think the bull runs for 10 days.
It's one of their like biggest festivals in Spain.
It's really like traditional and cultural, and
Yeah, and so that's where they do the bullfighting. Well, they do that all over Spain, but they run the bulls in the morning down the streets that you may have seen, and you can hop in and run with them if you want to. And so
great idea on Nicola's behalf.
Hey, I mean, I was like, I'm here. I'm gonna do it. We'd been up all night.
And then I think we had 1 hour sleep, and Nicola's like, get up, we gotta get into
So
town.
then we went in and we didn't really know what we were doing, but some people kind of took us under their wing and were like, no, you got to come back to the start because they're about to cut heaps of people out. So they just thinned the crowd.
Yeah.
So we were just right at the gate.
The
we didn't know, otherwise we would have been gone. And then
I tried to get out though. I tried to jump the fence and the police pushed me back in.
Yeah, and then I think maybe after like 5 minutes I didn't know where Jacqui was.
I was on my own to defend for myself, and I'm not a very big person, and back then I was pretty small, and I was terrified, so I tried to jump the fence to get back out, and the police were pushing me back in because, mate, you're on the track now, like, you're not coming out. And so I was like, I'm gonna have to run this, like, I've lost me mate, I'm gonna have to run this. This poor guy in front of me seen me and was just like, what are you doing in here? You need to get out. And I was like, I tried to get out. The cops pushing me back in. Anyway, you couldn't climb under the fence either. It was like ridiculous. I had to run. And I was like shaking.
Yeah, that was scary.
It was so scary. And then this poor guy, he's just like, hold on to the back of my shirt. And then, because you're more likely to get trampled by the crowd because there's so many, like,
and it's like intense, like you just have adrenaline pumping through you, and people are just running. Like it was like an actual stampede. It was like just crazy.
Every man for themselves. So people are just pushing people onto
and like
the ground,
stepping on people. But like if you stop,
I had to step on somebody.
Yeah, if you stop, horrible. It's like then you go down. It's like, I mean, this was like voluntarily done. So like imagine actually being in like a stampede. It's so scary. Everybody's scared, and like, well, not everybody. I mean, there's some crazy people. They're like out there running right next to the bull because you whack them on the butt with like a newspaper.
Like the actual Spanish people.
But
yeah, this guy in front of me, I was holding on to him and we're running, and then he got pushed into the middle of like the crowd, and he just went down, and there was nothing I could do. I had to keep running on my own. So I kept running, and then the next
tunnel.
Yeah, the next thing though, there was somebody on the ground unconscious. They were bleeding from the head. They were getting pulled out from the police from the fence because I was running right on the side of the fence. Yeah. They're getting pulled out underneath the fence, and I don't even know if they were alive or not, but I had to step on them to keep running. And then everybody goes goes from running to just
tiny little tunnel.
And this tiny little tunnel, and so you're completely stationary, and all you can hear are the bulls, and then you look to the side, and then everybody on the other side of the fence are telling you to run, but you can't run.
They got these sticks, the guards have these sticks, and they're like whacking people to make them run.
Yeah.
So you obviously don't want to run through because everyone's calling out like bulls, and you think that they're coming, and so then you just have to run into this tunnel with like a 600-kilo bull. Yeah. You don't know where it is. You can't hear anything because you. So
the tunnel's from like not very wide.
It's to go into the stadium. Yeah. So you go underneath the stadium, and then you come out and you're literally in the bullpen, in the stadium. So and then you just run to the side and you try to get like jump out.
But the wall to get out's like a head taller than me, and I was like, somebody help me.
But I don't know how I found you because I came.
I found you because what happened was I got out and these guys like helped me, and then I was looking for you, and I was like,
I came in and I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, and then I was like, where is my friend? I can't find her. And these guys were like, what does she look like? I'm like, she's really tall. And the next thing I spotted you, and I was like, I had my eyes on you the whole time.
That's crazy, but it's just insane.
It's another one.
But anyways, that's the best memory you're getting.
That's what else. Yeah. Oh no, that was just one of the craziest things that we've ever done together.
Yeah. We almost sank in the Philippines on some ferry, like monsoon rains. I feel like if we look through some photos,
that was actually pretty funny when we were going straight for a tsunami or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, oh well, let's go. There's beds on here. It's all good.
But the beds were flooded.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, Songkran Festival, that was one of the best things I've ever done. It was probably, I reckon, top 5 best things I've ever done.
Yeah, Songkran, so that's like the Thai New Year's? Or
world's biggest water fight.
Yeah. So it's like 4 days, and it's in the streets of like Thailand. Like we were in Bangkok, but it's all over. and you just go out into the street and you get a water gun
And you
just have a water fight with like thousands of people. The police are in there like with their water guns and their
it's
real
like
guns.
there's stages set up with like music and DJs
in the street,
and everyone's just partying, and it goes like non-stop. That was awesome.
Cool, actually. Yeah. What is your top tip for going traveling solo? Like if you were going to tell your friend who has never traveled.
I would say don't book anything.
Okay.
Don't,
obviously book your flight.
Obviously book your flight and book like one night at a hostel.
Yeah.
But apart from that, if you're going solo, do not book anything else, because the moment that you rock up to the hostel, you're going to meet people and your plans are going to change. And if you've got things that are locked in down the track, then that's like a commitment that you have to do. It's the best thing ever is just to have no plans at all and just go with the flow and be completely fluid in your whatever you want to do. Because like I said, you might connect with some people at the hostel and they're doing this epic adventure down south, but you plan to go north, and so the best way is to have no plans, and then you have nowhere to be at any certain time, and it's the best way.
Like still do your research and look at what it is you want to do so that you know. But you will just meet people and find out all these things. Once you get there's all these things that aren't in the books, or like someone's just found this amazing waterfall and like they went there and this is how they got there and it cost this much and go with this person or something. So it's just so much easier. And if you're not comfortable with booking just one night, like book a couple of nights, but I also wouldn't recommend booking too long in one place, because you might turn up there and it's a
definitely.
That's definitely happened to me. And you roll up and you're like, oh cool, hostel. One, there's no one there, and you're like, oh well, this isn't going to work for me, but you've booked a week or something. So always just book one, maybe two, depending on when you get in, but you can always extend unless it's a real busy time and you've been highly recommended through people that you know, or you know it's going to be good for whatever reason, and you can count on that advice, then sure, go do that. But booking
otherwise,
a long time.
Yeah, because usually you can, like you said, depending what time of the year it is, and if it's really, really busy, then you might have to book like a couple of nights, but otherwise just extend every day. Like you can just go down to reception and before 10 o'clock and just extend, and it's so easy. Usually they can keep you in the same bed in the same room, but you can gauge how busy it is when you get there as well.
And when you check in, you can ask if you can do that, how busy are you guys, can you accommodate me for a few more nights if I want, or whatever. But it just saves you money. Otherwise you're like paying for that hostel and you want to leave so badly, you go book somewhere else and then you're paying double time. We're all about budget travel too, so
definitely,
and traveling more.
Where you can, I suppose, like I try to avoid flights if they're hella expensive, and I just bus it usually.
Bus or train, depending. And if you get an overnight bus, normally the best, you can sleep and it's your accommodation as well.
Exactly, so you're saving a night's accommodation and you can sleep.
Definitely the buses in Asia are pretty comfy. They have like so night buses. Comfy. It's the same in Latin America. I think they're quite good.
The ones in like Vietnam and stuff, they're like proper beds, and it's $15 and it's like an 8 or a 9 hour bus ride, and you just sleep the whole time, and like you said, save an accommodation, and then the next day you just get there, you can just go to your hostel, put your stuff in the luggage room, have a shower or whatever, and then have the whole day. Definitely bus travel is probably the cheapest, especially through Central and South America. The flights are so expensive over there.
And this is as well for like long-term travel. I mean, if you're only on holiday for a week, then obviously plan stuff, but
definitely.
But even then you might get there and you don't know who you're going to meet or what you're going to do. So the less plans, the more better. You'll be able to do like exactly what you want in the moment, which is really important, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, how do you save your money for these trips that you go on? So you travel for like a year at a time?
What's
like your top saving tip for someone who's wanting to do that but they think it's unachievable? And so what kind of job do you normally have?
Well,
like the last few years
I've been working in like resorts and receptionist kind of thing roles, which is cool, but I'm not making a lot of money, so I do like to do as many hours as I can, just so that I can save,
But you manage to save a lot.
I do, yeah.
And so what would you say is like your main, the top tips?
The top tips, to be honest, if you're serious about going overseas on like a big trip, then definitely just have a date on when you want to leave and how much money you want to have by then, and then that will really motivate you to save. But main thing is these
don't
days
spend your money.
Don't go to the pub. It's simple. It's a simple rule, and it's hard sometimes not to follow it, but yeah. So
and then if you're not a big drinker, I'd say the other thing would be just don't spend. Like, you don't need to buy new things all the time.
Definitely not.
Make do with what you have.
Yeah.
And really prioritize your traveling if that's what you want to do. You know, like if you imagine buying like a coffee every day, and you think of how much money that is and how much that would equate to in, say, Vietnam or Mexico or somewhere else, you'll notice that that's like, you know, that money could get you through a week, or you know, you could live off that, or it's 5 nights in a hostel. But like if you kind of equate it that way, then it's like, it's a good way to see like, is it actually worth it having that coffee? Could I make a coffee at home or something? Like simple things like that. You do really just have to prioritize your traveling. It's possible, but that has to be your priority. Same as if you're saving for a car, that's your priority. But if it's traveling, then you need to be looking at it the same way. If you want to give one piece of amazing advice to anyone listening who's thinking about going traveling, whether you're traveling by yourself or just first time traveling or going somewhere you think isn't safe, what's your like biggest piece of advice for them?
My piece of advice, and I still believe that I think everybody once in their lifetime should just quit their job and just take 6 months and just go. And it's so daunting sometimes. I suppose if you haven't really done it before. Like, I was super scared traveling on my, like, the first time I ever traveled on my own, but literally the moment that I checked into the first hostel, I got off the plane, got to the hostel, as soon as I checked in, like, after the first night, I could do anything. And I just feel like everybody needs to just have, I think 6 months is a good amount of time to just...
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot for some people, but even if you're thinking about doing it, go and do it.
Yeah, go into it, and I think, it's addictive, that's for sure. I think it's just the feeling of freedom and not having to... Just having, like, the whole world is your oyster, pretty much, and you can go wherever you want, do whatever you want, and... that you don't have a time frame to be back on. I don't know. Just do it.
That is going straight in there. Okay. All right, we'll wrap it up.
Pretty much.
You guys just do it. You heard it here first from Jacqui. Right, well, I think we've probably talked your ear off. I don't know if you're still watching or if anyone's even listening to us, but you know, we had a good time. Thank you so much.
That's
I
okay.
love you.
I love you too.
And thanks for helping me out with this
That's
and being
alright.
here. If you have any questions for Jacqui, chuck them in the comments and we'll pass them on. And she'll jump on there and answer them.
I'd love to answer some.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, then I will be doing some more videos very similar with other people who travel, other solo female travelers, and yeah, subscribe because obviously then you can see the videos. I mean, do whatever you want. You do you, man. Don't forget to leave a like if you did like it. Wait, let me do that again. We'll put that in here. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Nicola Taffa, and welcome to my channel. Bye.
See you.